Is APAB. We are doing the Intro to BC unit, topic number 1, which is parts. So in example 2, which is in your packet, we are going to do multiple rounds of parts. In example 3, so the next video, I'll show you a shortcut for parts, but we don't know the shortcut yet, so I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so parts round 1. So we should first look and make sure U sub doesn't apply. Remember, the big hint that U sub is going to work is that the function that is inside another function could be your u. But remember that if the function inside another function, like here the x is inside the sine function, is just an x, it's probably not u sub, right? So because making u x is never helpful, and the same argument here, if I made u the thing inside the squared, which would just be x, it is also not helpful. So this is not going to be u sub. So I use liat, right? We always use liat to pick our u, right? So liat is how we pick our u. So I don't have any logs, I don't have any inverse trig, but I do have an algebraic function. I have x squared, right? So my u is going to be x squared, and my dv is going to be absolutely everything else that's left. So sine x dx. That means that my du is going to be a 2x dx, right? And my v, when I integrate sine, I get negative cosine of x. Again, we're ignoring the plus c because we're going to deal with all the c's when we've integrated all of these at the end. So I'm going to get uv, right? So that's going to be that this thing is equal to an x squared times a negative cosine x. So I'm going to go ahead and put the negative at the front, right? Minus v du. So it's going to be minus the integral of a negative 2x cosine of x dx. So the first thing I want you to spot is that it's much easier if you make this minus a negative into a positive. You don't have to, but it's going to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and write one more step where I write x squared cosine of x, and we'll go ahead and make this a plus. The second thing I want you to notice is that this is still a product where u substitution doesn't work, right? This is still multiplication, and I can't do anything but make ux, which we've already talked about how that's not useful. So this is going to require parts again, right? So I'm going to have to do parts again for that. So inch the board over a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and do parts for that. I don't want you to forget about this blue piece, right? This piece is still here, but I now need to do parts on the red piece. So that was round 1 of parts. Round 2 of parts, so we're going to kind of separate this, and we're going to deal with this thing, the integral of 2x cosine of x dx, right? So by the same rule, by using liat, I can see that my algebraic expression is my u, and the rest of my stuff is my dv, so the cosine x dx. So u is a 2x, right? And dv is a cosine of x dx. That makes my du, the derivative of 2x, a 2 dx, and it makes my v, when you integrate cosine, you get regular sine, right? So now this red piece, just this piece here, when I do parts, is going to become a uv, so a 2x sine x, right? So 2x sine x. And notice I never said that just this integral was equal to the whole thing, right? I'm intentionally doing my work off to the side here so that I can deal with this in a second, right? Minus the integral of v du, which is going to be a 2 sine x dx, which is finally something that is not a product. I can integrate 2 sine x without using parts. So I get that this is a 2x sine x, right? When I integrate a negative 2 sine, I get a regular cosine, right? So I'm going to get a plus 2 cosine x plus c. I'm then going to take this part and plug it back in where the red integral was when I had to do parts again, and I'm going to get that my final answer, if I put all of it together, is that negative x squared cosine of x, right? This blue thing that's all the way off to the side, plus the 2x sine of x, plus the 2 cosine of x, plus c. And that is my lengthy answer from having to do 2 rounds of parts. Now, 2 rounds of parts isn't awful. You're not probably going to have to do like 3 rounds of parts on an AP test. It's really unlikely. But it is fair to expect that you might have to do parts twice. And I'm going to show you a shortcut in example 3 that is another way to get us to this exact same answer for the exact same problem, but just a little bit faster.